Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Goodness. Kolkata has recently been zoomed in by many in the world map. It has grabbed the world's attention by an unfortunate incident which sparked many protests, and still justice is demanded. A postgraduate trainee doctor in a state-run hospital allegedly raped and murdered while on duty in Kolkata. The protests were held at more than 100 locations across Kolkata and spread to surrounding towns and the state of West Bengal, followed by rallies took place in several other Indian cities. Post this incident, Indian doctors did call for a national-wide shutdown of hospital services as public fury over this incident. Credibility of the Chief Minister for West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee's government is plummeting. So, what is that incident exactly pointing to? A 31-year-old trainee doctor's dead body bearing multiple injuries was found on August 9th in a government teaching hospital in Kolkata. The parents of the victims were initially told by the hospital authorities that their daughter has committed suicide. But an autopsy confirmed that the victim was raped and killed. The Federation of Resident Doctors Association called for a national-wide halting of elective services in hospitals, later calling off the strike after Health Minister Jagat Prakash Nada accepted protest demands. Federation of Resident Doctors Association, among many things, demanded to solidify the Central Protection Act. It is an act to protect medical professionals from violence, which was proposed in the Parliament's lower house in 2022 but has not yet been enacted. Protesters marched through the streets, reclaimed the night in Kolkata overnight, called for a wider tackling of violence against women, and held up handwritten signs, "We want justice. Hang the rapist, save the woman." It is not just about one night. Every night, women should have this freedom and choice to go out, so that in future, no girl's child's parents have to think in case it gets late in the evening whether their child shall return home safe or not, one of the demonstrators told. Another said, "I believe the night is not just for men to enjoy. Women also have equal rights. We have come out to claim the space for ourselves so that women no longer have a sense of fear associated with nights." Other doctors' federations and hospitals have said they will not back down on the strike until a concrete solution is found, including a central law to curb the attack on doctors. The victim body was found in a seminar hall of the hospital where she went to rest after a 36-hour-long shift. Many demanded dismissal of the principal of the college, who was transferred elsewhere. You heard it right, the principal of the college was transferred. An individual who would need to go through the investigation process has been transferred immediately before the investigation is complete. Wonder what's and who's behind this rush. Other doctors' federation and hospitals said, "We are demanding his termination, not just transfer. We are also demanding a death penalty for the criminals," or the criminals added. Calling off the strike now would mean the female resident doctors might never receive justice. Member of the National Council of the Indian Medical Association Junior Doctors Network said, "Doctors across the country have been demanding quick enactment of a special law to deal with violence against healthcare personnel and implementation of improved safety protocols within medical facilities to ensure a secure working environment." Bringing a law based on the RGK Medical College and a hospital incident wouldn't make a huge difference, as this wasn't a case of a patient-doctor violence. rapes and murders are covered under existing laws according to the government sources. The investigative group has decided to increase the security personnel by 25% of all hospitals run by it, in view of the protest by doctors demanding better safety and security for healthcare workers. It also has directed this hospital to deploy marshals for immediate security-related assistance. Now, who is deemed as a suspect? Local media reported the police arrested suspect Sanjoy Roy, a civic volunteer, was being seen entering the building where the body was found. The police also found a Bluetooth headphone near the body, which was paired to Roy's phone, they say. The parents of the victim told the court that they suspect that it was a case of a gang rape, a local media reported. So how is politics playing into this? Ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party, has called for dismissing the government in West Bengal led by Mamata Banerjee for All India Trinamool Congress. Banerjee's party is part of the opposition alliance. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition in parliament, also called for justice for the victim. Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded in general about the violence against women in such a way. There's anger for atrocities committed against our mothers and sisters. There is anger in the nation about that. Crimes against women should be quickly investigated. Montora's behavior against women should be severely and quickly punished. That is essential for creating deterrence and confidence in the society, he says. It is important to note, women make up about 30% of the doctors and 80% of nurses in India. So, what's next with this incident? This case, now been transferred from a local police to the CBI, has directed the Central Investigation Agency to file periodic status report regarding the progress of this investigation. Can you narrow down such incidents to Kolkata, or is it wider than that? First and foremost, sexual violence can be in many forms. Rape or sexual assault, child sexual assault and incest, sexual assault by person's spouse or partner, unwanted sexual contact or touching, sexual harassment, sexual exploitation and trafficking, exposing one's genitals or naked body to others without consent, masturbating in public, watching someone engage in private acts without their knowledge or permission. Non-consensual image sharing are numbered of things to be quoted under sexual violence. So Kolkata actually prided itself for a long time on being really low in case of violence against women and being relatively safe for women. Sexual violence against women is a widespread problem in India. An average of nearly 90 rapes a day were reported in 2022 in a country of 1.4 billion people at the time. So, on the eves of India's 78th year of independence from British occupation, protesters of sexual violence against women and girls are asking questions about whether India belonged to its women as much as its men. This leaves one wondering if the true independence has ever obtained. The Indian Constitution guarantees fundamental and equal rights to women. The cultural and social aspects of Indian life tell a different story. Indian women are subjected to a culture of silencing and victim blaming. So how did the victim blaming played out in the recent incident? The killed medical trainee had a broken collar and pelvic bones and severe genital injury. But despite these clear signs of rape-related physical injury, the hospital administrators at R.G. Carr Medical College attempted to label the young medical resident's death as a suicide. So she is kind of responsible for her life, right? This culture makes it difficult for victims and survivors of sexual abuse to access legal aid and social support. This stands true for almost all the Asian countries. In India, sexual violence and rape are an epidemic, threatening the safety and the future lives of women and girls. Rape and sexual violence is normalized because of the culture of impunity, silencing, and victim blaming. So if this is what's happening in among the so-called educated society, how about for Dalit and marginalized women and girls? The situation even is worse for them. Between 2015 and 2021, there was a 45% rise in sexual violence crimes against Dalit women. So, byproduct of patriarchy and misogyny, right? The rape culture in India is a byproduct of patriarchy and misogyny that normalizes men's violence against women. Perpetrators use sexual violence as a way to map their dominance and control over women's bodies by exposing young men and boys to ideas that are rooted in the subordination and harmful stereotypes of femininity. Toxic masculinity contribute to this culture. Law officials participate in covering up crimes, and government representatives silence and blame victims. Remember the case where the 19-year-old from a village in Uttar Pradesh, 200 kilometers from the Indian capital, New Delhi, was raped in a field near her house by 4 suspects belonging to upper caste in a Hindu religion's hierarchy. Later, the teenager's body was cremated in an open field in the presence of nearly 24 police and other officials. But the teenager's family members alleged that the cremation was carried out against their wishes, with neither of their parents were present. We told the administration we want to cremate her in the morning as per the Hindu rituals. But they did not listen to us. They locked us inside our home and burnt her body, said the girl's brother. We kept shouting from inside the house, but they did not listen to us and cremated her using petrol. Petrol is never used for last rites, but why would they care? As he continued. Despite the efforts of the Indian judiciary to establish fast-track special courts to deliver justice to rape victims and survivors, the reality is different. Stigmatizations, violence, and marginalization present serious roadblocks for women and girls to access justice mechanisms. Do you remember the case where 4 men along with 2 others were convicted for a brutal gang rape of a 23-year-old medical student on a moving bus on the night in 2012? Do you? After a battle between fast-track court, Delhi's High Court, Supreme Court, and many reviews in the form of review petition, mercy petition, curative plea, convicts were hanged and confirmed dead in 2020 March. 2012 to 2020, it's what's the time it took to resolve that case. So it took nearly 8 years to come to a finalization of a case. Even this incident instigated a national-wide protest. As we speak here, another news unfolds. 2 nursery children sexually abused by a school sweeper in Thane. In the Indian city of Thane, 2 nursery-attending school students were allegedly sexually abused by a sweeper in their school. The incident led to protests by parents outside the school premises. The police have now arrested a 24-year-old accused. No matter where in the world this kind of incidents takes place, the impact for the survived, the support networks, the families, and the societies are feeling this so deeply. Those who survive sexual violence have a different ways of dealing with post incident traumas. Assault may impact a survivor's daily life no matter when it happened. Each survivor reacts to sexual violence in their own way. Common emotional reaction could include guilt, shame, fear, numbness, shock, and feeling of isolation. So physical impacts may include personal injuries, concerns about pregnancy, or risk of contracting a sexually transmitted infection. Economic impacts of sexual violence include medical and other expenses in addition to things like take time off work. The long-term psychological effects survivors may face is their trauma is left untreated, include post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, isolated, and many others. These incidents also affect those who are near to them. So sexual violence can affect parents, friends, partners, children, spouses, and co-workers of the survivors as they try to make sense of what has happened. Loved ones may experience similar reactions and feelings to those of the survivor, such as fear, guilt, self-blame, and anger. So what's the impact to the communities? Schools, workplaces, neighborhoods, campuses, and cultural or religious communities may feel fear, anger, or disbelief when sexual assault happened in their community. Violence of all kinds destroys a sense of safety and trust. There are financial costs to communities, including medical services, criminal justice expenses, crisis and mental health service fees, and the lost contributions of individuals affected by sexual violence. This goes to show it remains to be seen if the nationwide outrage and protest will help to galvanize long overdue changes as well as bring justice to the victim and her family. The need for cultural and social changes to eliminate gender-based violence is far more important. National revamping of the education system to educate and bring awareness to those of various aspects of gender-related education, focusing on building a healthy relationship between men and women, should now be demanded. A genuine commitment from the government with a multifaceted and coordinated approach to challenge the social attitudes and deliver timely justice is needed to transform the deeply entrenched rape culture in the country. To do this, there needs to be a significant shift in mindset and action. This must be accompanied by dedicated policy to sanitize men and boys on consent and dismantling harmful masculine behaviors. What independent India needs to create is a secure and an inclusive environment where women and girls have the freedom to exist without the fear of violence, oppression, and marginalization. Both national and state governments should ensure that there are timely trials, witness protection, and counseling services. So we would take this a little further to challenge the international community on what they would do in their own backyard, as incidents such as this are not isolated to India or Asia. Remember a recent incident in Paris where an Australian woman was gang raped. So it is very clear the sexual violence against women is a global epidemic. Collaboration, cooperation between all could help to build a more sustainable program. With that, I will leave you today. Until then, you look after yourself. I will meet you in another episode of Goodness. Thank you.